Hello everybody and welcome back to G Bear's Off-Grid Ways, a homestead in the desert. And here we are down by the garden house, and you can see I moved this one homemade pedestal that I used a pallet I found out in the desert and some leftover 4x4 from some of my building. And I made myself a pedestal, and I had the four 20-gallon barrels on there that was sitting here, and I used those for water originally. But it was constantly refill. So anyway, I'm going to be upgrading, and I'm going to be putting in a cinder block pedestal here like I did for the totes over there. And I've got my other tote up by the fire pit area because I've been working on cleaning it out. We're going to be heading up there in a minute, and I'm going to go through step by step of putting in the valves, or actually tapping the unit so that you can put a hose connection on it. And one of the things I will be doing is I'm not going to glue the length of pipe that's going to be poking through the screen right where that hose is right there. That's for my self-watering garden. But I will be leaving that piece on there extra long, probably 12 inches long, because I want it, after I get it through there, I want to put the shutoff valve, the ball valve, on the inside of the unit to where I can access it without having to come out like I did with this one. You see, on this one, I glued it on the outside of the garden house, so I got to open up the door and come out to turn that on and off. And to make it a little bit simpler on me, I'm going to have this one on the inside, but I'm also going to put a hose Y on. A hose Y gives you two hose connections coming off from one female to two males, so I can have one going to my self-watering garden. Then I'll put a hose reel in here to hang my hose on, and I'll have another hose in there so when I want to spot water certain plants that need a little extra care, a little extra water, I can do that off of the same connection without having to disconnect one and reconnect the other. They also make those in 3s, 4s, and 5s, but I don't think I'll need that much. Just one with a garden hose and one connected to my self-watering gutter garden. All right. That being said, as you see, I started raking here and got some of the rocks and stuff out of the way. I'll be bringing a level over and leveling my position to where the cinder block are going. And what I decided to do is, to save a trip into town, is I'm going to take the top row off of that compost there, plus the one that's laying on the side, and plus the 5 that I've got over here, and the 4 I got over here. And then I'll set up my pedestal 2 tiers high, which is what I want. And then I'll get my tote into place right there. And that job will be done for now. And then I can buy some more 8/16s and put another row back on the top of my compost pile. All right. So we're coming on by my gray water pit here, which I've still got to complete. I've got 2 more blocked down in here, but this morning when I came by, there was a big old gopher snake in there taking a drink of water. I don't mind gopher snakes. They keep the little pests down, like the ground squirrels and such. So here we go, heading up towards the container, and here's my tote. And I've been cleaning it out. You see I got a bucket underneath here to catch it, because the syrup that's in here, they call rooster syrup, and it's for use in bakeries. But it's really a sugary, sticky paste. So I drain it into buckets, and then I put the buckets out like this. And this becomes a self-made fly trap. And I just dump some in there, so it's going to be a little foamy on top because I've been using soap to clean out the container. But there's thousands and thousands of flies in this thing. You see a couple sitting right on the side of the container there, and they'll go down, and as soon as they touch the water, the soap as a surfactant is going to grab them and lock them in. So I eliminate a lot of flying insects this way. The bees don't seem to go in there. It's just mostly horse flies and house flies, and then some other little types of gnat flies that just irritate you. All right, so on this one, this has a 4-inch outlet, as you see. Now the thread that's on this outlet will not fit any PVC fittings that you could buy in the big box stores or anything like that. That's a special thread for a cap that goes on there, just like the cap that's on top here. Now I take those 2 caps off, I take them inside, and I put a little hot soapy water in the kitchen sink, and I clean those out really, really well. Now this lever is a on-off valve for this unit, and there's still some water in here because I'm letting it dissolve some of the last sugars. All right, now that valve is going to have to remain open after we modify the cap that's going on there, because there's going to be a PVC fitting on the inside of the cap, and this part of the valve will hit it, so it won't close all the way. So that remains open. That's why we put a separate valve on the connection. Here's the cover, the cap that goes on there. And you see it's got a white seal. You want to make sure you don't damage that, because if that's damaged, you'll never get another one. You can probably make one, but rubber will twist and flip and fold when you try to tighten it. So you want to stay with that if you can. Don't damage it. All right, so here's some of the stuff laid out, and as you can see, I got my tripod here to hold the cell phone once I get going, and I'm already going up on 7 minutes, so I'm going to speed up here a little bit. All right, here's my unibit, and I got these at Harbor Freight, and a unibit keeps enlarging the hole every step you go, and it'll go into a 1/4-inch thick material each time. All right, I probably won't need this. I just put it here just in case. This is what a hose Y looks like. This is what I was telling you about, where you get 2 connections off of one, and you can do them with 3 connections, 4 connections, 5 connections. All right, so parts that I'm using, I'm going with 3/4-inch penetration. So this is a 3/4 female thread by 1-inch bushing. Okay, and the reason I got that is because that's going to go on the inside of the cap right here after I get it drilled, and this one will be on the outside. This is a 3/4-inch male adapter, and then at the hardware store I get this reinforced neoprene gasket, and that'll go on the inside of the cap where the female piece goes against there. And the one thing I forgot to put out here is my True Blue, but I'll grab that as soon as I mount the camera, because the van is right behind me and it only takes a second. I got my red hot blue glue here, and this saves you the time of having to use purple primer on everything. All right, I got my 3/4-inch sweat ball valve here, and then here is a 3/4-inch street by 3/4-inch hose thread adapter. Now hose thread and pipe thread are different. You can see the difference right there. One is coarser than the other. Hose thread is coarser. So you want to make sure you use a hose thread, not a regular male adapter on that. And that fits right inside of here. So that would become my hose connection if I had a single hose connection. And then this is going to end up on there like that. And that gives me the 2 connections that I want, one for the garden hose, one for the self-watering garden. All right, a couple other things. Pipe threads. These are pipe taps, and I bought this at Harbor Freight years and years and years ago, because I was a contractor and I did plumbing jobs and things like that. This, when I originally bought it back in 2011, it was $50, or roughly $50. Okay, so the one I'm going to be using is this one right here. This is a 3/4-inch pipe thread, and each one of these is marked 3/4. They start at 1/4 inch and go up to 1 1/4 inch. All right, the other thing I'll be needing is a set of cutters. You can use a saw, hacksaw, anything like that, but these are fast and easy. They give you a quick, clean cut on PVC pipe. All right. So here's my PVC pipe. Everything is here. I'm going to set the phone into the tripod and I'm going to grab my True Blue. Actually, you know what? I've already showed the True Blue in a prior video, so you know what that is. And to save time on this video, what I'm going to do is get going on this. And I'm going to show you how it's all done. And then I can put the True Blue on the threads after I'm done with the video, so I don't waste any more time. Okay, so here we go. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off about a foot or so of 3/4 inch PVC, because that's going to be the piece that's going to go into the garden house. So I can set that away and make some more room on here, and I can set that away and make more room on here. Okay, so now I got my piece of pipe here, and it's a little dirty on the inside, but I'll flush it out when I'm before I do everything. All right, so we got that ready. So we know that that's going to go onto the 3/4 inch male adapter. So we're going to get some blue glue out, and the red hot blue glue is really good stuff. But what you want to remember is don't put on too much. This stuff melts the plastic. So you're going to put some on the inside of the female connector and put some on the outside of the pipe. That way you're sure you got a good bond. Then you're going to put them together and twist as you push in. That's going to make sure you got your glue all the way through. And you see how the glue actually bubbles out in the inside there. So after you're done gluing PVC systems together, you always want to definitely flush them. That's why I'm not worried about the dirt in the inside of the pipe, because I'm going to be flushing this with clean water before I finish my connections. All right, so that one's ready. That can set aside here. So the next thing we're going to do here is we can glue this fitting into the valve. So we're going to do this exactly the same thing, not use too much. Give it one quick dash in there, and then on the outside of the pipe. Okay, put them together and twist. All right, so now I can set that aside. And sometimes you'll see these things that the reaction of the chemical reaction actually will cause it to start rising out. So pay attention and push it back in if you see that happen. All right, so that's ready. And now we're going to make our hole in the cover. We want to drill it centered in the cover, and that'll drain everything out of your tote except the little bit that's in the bottom, and that's where all your sediment falls out. So it'll keep from blocking up your fittings and things like that. All right, so we're center right there, right where the little knob is in the center of this thing. And we're going to take the step drill, and I've already marked mine right there. So the way I did that was I take this and I set it on here, and I don't want to go all the way into the next one, which is a 1 inch. Oh, actually, I think I do. I go into the 1 inch on this step drill because that just starts hitting the threads. So when I'm ready to tap it, it'll give me the threads that I need. So you're going to get this started as close to that center piece as possible. I have this on hammer drill. That's the noise you're hearing. Okay, now you want to go easy with this, because when this thing goes step by step, it'll actually suck you right into the next hole. Okay, so that's at the 3/4, and as you can see, that's not going to go anywhere near going in there. So I'm going to go up to the 1 inch, and this is where you don't want to go an extra one. So be careful at this point. All right. Now, you'll also notice that it kind of leaves a taper on the inside there. I'm not going to worry about that, because that actually will tighten around the fitting as I'm going into it. All right, so now I'm going to take my tap, and you don't need any tools for this. Because it's plastic, you'll be able to do this by hand. And you want to screw this into the hole that you just drilled. And I just hold the bit and turn the cover, which is leverage. It's a little easier to turn the large thing than it is the small thing. And if it was too hard on your hand, you could always clamp it in a vise or hold it with pliers. And you want to get this down pretty deep into the tap, because these are tapered taps. When tapered means that the tip of the tap is a narrower diameter than the outside of the tap. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but I'll show it to you. They kind of taper larger here and smaller at the end. That's so that it threads in easily. Now I've got threads on inside there. So at that point, it's time to screw this into place. And I would put the True Blue sealant, thread sealant on there before I did this. But I want to get it all the way in to where it fits right up against the shoulder. That's another thing that I have to mention. You might have to look around different hardware stores because some places sell you male adapters that have a tapered shoulder, and that doesn't work as well as these ones that have the flat squared off shoulder. You see the difference there? Because this is going to be a seal, I wanted that flat tapered shoulder on there. Okay, so this is going to end up threading into there with my blue True Blue sealant on it. And once I get it all the way up against the unit there, then I'll put my washer on the inside, and I'll take my male threaded bushing and I'll put that on there, and I'll snug that down to where it just starts compressing that neoprene washer. Okay, that's all there is to it. That's ready to go back on the container. And then after I put this through the wire and shade cloth inside the container or inside the garden house, I'll cut this piece off to length of whatever I want it, and I'll glue the valve in place with the valve facing upward. Now, if I glued that on now, when you tighten this thing up, this could end up on the bottom. It could end up on the side. You'll never get it where you want it. So I'm going to glue it on after I get the cover and all of that stuff in place, and I get the actual tote into place. All right, that's all there is to it, people. It's that easy. Like I said, it's really easy. Now, on the blue barrels, I do the same thing. I drill the hole with the same bit. I tap it with the same tap. I put a male adapter with True Blue on it, and I screw that in, and I let it dry. Don't start messing around with it until it dries. Give it a day or two to dry. And then you can put your hose bib on there, whatever you want to put. Or you can just take a brass hose bib that already has male threads on it, and you can put your True Blue on there and screw that in. And that's what I did on my barrels over here. I'm going to bring this around. That barrel up against the cabin there that catches the rainwater. You see I've got hose bib at the bottom of it, and that's the way I do them. I put the True Blue sealant on the hose bib thread and screwed it right into the hole that I made for the tap to go in. Now on that one, I think I used a 1/2 inch tap, not a 3/4. But if you want a higher flow of water, because you're using gravity, so you want to get as much volume as possible, you're not going to get much pressure out of it unless you get up high. So that's what the deal is. All right, everybody. I'm going to cut this one off now so I can finish this off and then get down and start setting some block. This is G-Bear. I got to tell you, it's only 9:30 in the morning and it's already pushing 85 degrees out here. Beautiful, clear blue skies. Not enough wind to turn the turbine. Just beautiful. I'm loving it. So I'm going to get some work done. All right. I might even shoot another video later today. Oh, there's a nice little breeze to cool things down. All right. Reminding you, please give me a thumbs up down there if you like my videos. They call it a like. I call it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. You won't get spammed or hammed or anything else. You're going to just enjoy getting notified every time I post a new video. And if you want to learn about this stuff and you're planning on homesteading and getting out into the off-grid life away from cities and neighbors crawling down your throat all the time and looking over your fence while you're sitting in the jacuzzi, well, this is what you're going to have to learn, all of this stuff. The outdoor shower is coming into play today because the temperature is going to be near 90, and the same thing with the rest of the week. All right, G-Bear signing off.